Start now. See, today we are going to take up second topic of the ethics syllabus, that is attitude. In fact, last class I have taken already first topic, but now from today, what we will be doing is we will be first briefly understanding what is the topic, and then we will also take up a few PYQs related to that topic, which have come in earlier years. But one thing I just want to tell you that nowadays or recent years, if you see, direct questions on ethics are very less and very rare, and single topic questions are anyway very rare. So if any question is asked, usually it connects two or three topics together, and mostly applied questions are asked. So it's not very direct kind of questions. But definitely I could find some three, four PYQs which were directly related. So today's topic is basically attitude. So I could find some two, three PYQs related to attitude. So we'll try to see how we can write good answers for that. That anyway we will do. But before that, let us try to understand briefly what is attitude and how it affects the functioning of a civil servant. And might not for any human being. Positive attitude, negative attitude. We in normal discussion also we say he is having very positive attitude, he is having very negative attitude. So attitude actually matters in almost all human relations, not only uh, civil services, not only public administration, but uh, any human relation is directly or indirectly affected by the attitude of the person who is interacting. So this topic will understand in a number of subtopics, and first we will start with meaning of attitude. See, there are a number of definitions. I have selected some few definitions, so we'll try to give important definitions. But attitude is basically a learned, stable mental tendency. So this is basically a mental tendency that shapes how a person thinks, feels, and acts toward any issue, person, policy, or event. So, basically, attitude governs the person's behavior towards other persons, towards any policy, towards any issue or any event also, for that matter. Now, one of the important psychologists who deals with attitude, Gordon Elport, he says attitude is a mental and neural state of readiness that influences responses or response to all objects and situations. So objects and situations, two things he says, which includes, if you see in first paragraph, the issue, person, policy, or event. So objects and situation includes all this. So basically, what is the response of a person, we can know through his response what is his attitude. Now, in ethics and public administration, what is its role? Let us try to understand, because this is more important for any uh, civil service aspirant or any student or any civil servant also. See, service orientation. It shapes moral behavior, it affects citizens' experience, and it influences decision making under pressure. So all these things are directly related with administration. To little more broadly, if you want to understand why attitude matters in public service, now let us see. Attitude predicts how an officer treats citizens, because when citizens, any civil servant, as you know, continuously interacts with citizens, and particularly poor people, particularly downtrodden people, how he treats them, that reflects the officer's attitude. So attitude basically how the officer treats its citizens, or even downtrodden people. This is weak, poorest of the poor, as Gandhiji says. So this determines the attitude. Then Attitude determines willingness to help, listen, and solve problems. This is again very important. It shapes behavior during crisis, because suppose flood is there, earthquake is there, riots are there, cyclone is there. So how officer behaves, particularly with subordinates, with citizens, is shaped by attitude. It connects values, behavior, and outcomes. So it connects values to behavior and behavior to outcomes. Then it influences trustworthiness, fairness, and integrity. So these are very, very important issues, or you can say uh, criteria or considerations why attitude matters in public service. Now, as an example, if you want to take one example, a positive attitude in a district collector during COVID led to community trust and high vaccination, because and not only that, I mean, during COVID, some positive attitude officers, they arranged a number of facilities for migrants, for those persons who wanted to go to their home in the crisis situation. So all those things you can understand and you can quote. Now, next thing regarding attitude, which we would like to discuss, is components of attitude. And Daniel Kahneman, another important psychologist, he has given ABC model. It's again very, very important for your theoretical answers as well as for your case studies also, wherever attitude issue comes. A means affective, how we feel, which means emotional reactions, compassion, anger, fear also. So A stands for affectiveness or affective. B is behavioral. That is how we act basically. So first is how we will feel, second is how we act, and third is C, that is cognitive, how we think. So feel, act, and think. All these are basically components of attitude. Uh, so formula is attitude is equal to emotion, thought, action. So this is how we feel, how we think, and how we act basically. So this is what components of attitude. Now, what are types of attitude? Let us try to understand that also. Positive and negative attitude, anyway, we know, because we keep on discussing even in common uh, parlance also. For example, positive attitude person is very optimistic, solution oriented. Example, you can give E. Sridharan's Delhi Metro example. Negative attitude person is cynical, resistance to change. Most come up with, he will say no, or he will first find reasons to say no, because that is called negative attitude. So nothing improves in government. So this kind of feeling, if some officer is having, or everywhere corruption is there, or I mean, basically everywhere inefficiency is there. So that is a negative kind of attitude. Then another is neutral or objective attitude. What is that? This is unbiased. So if you are unbiased, fair in your dealings, this is neutral or objective. Then explicit versus implicit attitude. What is explicit versus implicit? Uh, just yeah. So explicit versus implicit. Explicit attitude is conscious and declared. For example, if somebody says, I support women's right, or I oppose child labor, so that is explicit kind of attitude. Implicit, what is implicit? That is unconscious bias. Even if you are not expressly saying something, but still there is bias. For example, uh, preferring male colleagues unconsciously. I mean, some officer or some human, I mean, some say, oh, no, no. Usually, I mean, only male officers are preferred, or women officers cannot work like male. So that is unconscious bias, or not only unconscious. I mean, male, female, it may be caste bias, it may be religion bias, or it may be anything. For example, linguistic bias may be there, regional bias may be there. He is from that region, she is from that region. So all these are implicit. Then another uh, attitude kind is value-based attitude, which reflects moral values, for example, justice, equality, etc. So example can be Gandhi's attitude. Then This is another kind of given by another important psychologist, Freud, who is very, very, well known, So ego defensive is basically protects self-esteem. So this is another kind. For example, can be officer blaming citizens instead of correcting his behavior, his or her behavior. Then now next thing regarding attitude, after various kinds of attitude, we should understand how attitudes are formed basically, and can it be changed, and how it can be changed, how are formed. So see, attitudes develop through first and foremost school, all of is the family. So if family background is like that, the concerned child may learn honesty, empathy, respect, etc. Then second is education in schools, etc. Schools and colleges, civic values, critical thinking, uh, and other, leadership, team spirit. So all these things you can learn in schools also. Then social learning in society also. We imitate role models. For example, teachers, seniors, or parents. Then culture and religion. This is again very, very important uh, constituent how attitudes are formed, how it affects. For example, Gandhi's non-violence, Buddha's compassion, Islam charity, Sikhism seva. So all these, if you see, religion and culture, they teach some values. So maybe some people are affected by these and they learn from that. Then nowadays, media and social media, this is also very, very important input as far as formation of attitude is concerned, because it frames opinions, stereotypes, etc. Then experiences, self experiences also. So direct interaction may shape beliefs. Then another important this thing is reward and punishment. If you are having fear of punishment, that also, if continuously it's there, it will change the attitude. And similarly, reward also. So these are basically various factors which affect or which form or which change, modify the attitude. Now, let us in next topic, let us try to understand what is difference between attitude and behavior. Because both, if you see, appear to be quite similar kind of, uh, uh, at least in action appears to be similar kind. Now, but there is a, slight difference. Now, what is attitude? Attitude is basically internal mindset. Behavior is external action. Attitude is invisible. Behavior is visible. Attitude influences behavior. Behavior is shaped by various norms, rules. Attitude may not match behavior. Behavior must follow official conduct. So this is basically, if you see the difference between attitude and behavior. And one very, very important statement comes from Leon Festinger. This is very, very important. Again, another thinker, modern times. He talks of cognitive dissonance. On this, I think questions have also come earlier. Cognitive dissonance. Now, he says that mismatch between attitude and behavior causes mental discomfort. And the officer or the person tries in due course to remove this mental discomfort. Now, he may match his behavior or his attitude to the behavior, or to behavior to attitude, depends, in what situation he is placed or what is his thinking. So example is, officer believes corruption is wrong, but still pays bribe. So, or still, even though he feels that attitude, corruption is wrong, but since everybody is doing that, so he starts thinking that no, okay, so let us also follow that path. So then there is no mismatch between attitude and behavior, and this then mental discomfort disappears. So this is what Leon Fistinger has said. And it can be otherwise also, but in corruption situation, it's not possible otherwise, because when system is corrupt, then perhaps most of the officers try to follow that path and to remove the mental discomfort. Now, how attitudes can be changed? In earlier topic, how attitudes are formed. Now here we are going to see how attitudes can be changed. And one of the important constituents of changing attitudes is training also, which we will learn now. Now, what are the effective techniques of changing? First is persuasion. So persuasion can be by peers, by seniors, by leaders, by anybody. So that is first point. Second is education and sensitization. So gender sensitization, RTI, human rights, etc. These are, they also again uh, uh, change the attitude. Then social learning and role models. As I told, seniors inspire juniors. Then behavioral change communication. This is again very, very important. For example, in Swachh Bharat, etc., and polio campaigns, so they follow methods of changing behavior through communication. Then law and policy. For example, POSH Act is there, Anti-Dowry Act is there. Sometimes or most of the times they do change the behavior, but sometimes they fail to change also. So this is again another important. Then incentives and recognition. Now, if you see, some of the points may overlap. Changing the attitude or formation of attitude. So some, because part of it is same also. So some of the points may overlap also. So we should not feel that these are two totally different things. Definitely there will be overlapping. For example, incentives and recognition. This there also we saw awards and punishment. So here incentives and recognition. This also changes the attitude. Then nudge theory, Richard Thaler has given, small pushes result in big changes. For example, footsteps towards dustbin. So this is an example of Swachh Bharat. At some of the places it has been followed. So footsteps are basically made towards dustbin, which induce clean behavior and clean attitude in the citizens. Next point is role of attitude in good governance. What is the role of attitude in good governance? Now, this topic also overlaps with previous topic. What is the role of attitude in public administration or public or civil services? So this also in a way overlaps. But then again, it's important. So we need to go through again. So first is citizen-centric services, polite and respectful behavior. This is very, very important. Integrity and moral courage, empathy, very, very important quality of any civil servant. Then objectivity, leadership, positive attitude motivates the team, basically subordinates, because most of the civil service or most of the public administration is teamwork. So unless one is a good leader or able to motivate the subordinates or team members, they may not be successful. Then crisis management. This is again very, very important. The calm attitudes saves lives. So many examples you can give. Kerala floods is one example. Cyclones, earthquakes, wherever. Good officers with positive attitude have been there. They have done good work. So basically, this completes in brief regarding attitude, because it's not that big topic. However, if you read the suggested, you can go through little more details, some various other definitions, various other uh, points you will be able to know. But this is in brief what we can do. Now, as I told, recent PYQs I have tried to, because going very back 10 years or 8 years may not, because the questions kind was totally different. So, as I told, direct PYQs are very less in number, but definitely 3, 4 I have been able to find. So that I am going to discuss now. So this question came in 2023. Attitude, an important component that goes as input in the development of human behavior. So this is a statement has been given. Attitude is an important component that goes as input in the development of human behavior. Now, after this question is how to build a suitable attitude needed for a public servant. This is the question basically. How to build a suitable attitude needed for a public servant. So, as you know, the questions in ethics are 150 word questions and of 10 marks. Since number of words are quite less, you have to understand the question, what is directive, and directly start answering the question. Because if you start giving introduction, conclusion, and all those things, perhaps you will miss the main points, and a number of words will be lost in uh, basically beating around the bush. So that is not required. So here also, if you see, the question is asking how to build a suitable attitude needed for a public servant. So answer starts with that only. You see, a suitable attitude for a public servant can be built through value education, ethics training, social exposure, role models, and a supportive work environment. So these 4 5 points have been given in one line itself. And then subsequent paragraphs or subsequent write-up will be just to elaborate this. Now, in elaborating, I keep on telling to the students, see, you have to, uh, basically quote uh, a number of, a number of ethical theories are there. So, relevant ethical theories you have to quote. Then you have to give some references, whether it may be Nolan Committee's report, whether it may be constitutional provisions, or whether it may be ARC reports. Then you have to also give some 1 or 2 live examples also if possible, and if possible. So if these 3 4 things you include, definitely your answer will be upgraded. So first paragraph I have explained. Now we'll go to second paragraph. How, all these 4 3 4 points have to be elaborated basically. So early value-based education encourages honesty. So early value-based education may be at family level, maybe at school level, encourages honesty, fairness, and respect for constitutional principles like equality, Article 14, dignity, Article 21. Then second is, next is ethics training. Ethics training further strengthens this by explaining code of conduct, conflict resolution, and expected public service behavior. So training is another important aspect. And nowadays, as you know, training, even academies also, at state level also, almost every state is having training academies for the officers. Central level, as you know, already Masuri Academy is there for the IS officers. Then Police Academy is in Hyderabad. Nagpur, we have income tax. So, so many academies are there. So there, every academy now has included ethics training in the uh, in the in their syllabus, and they are doing it. Then regular exposure to citizens, especially the poor, elderly, and persons with disabilities, develop empathy and reduces social bias. Positive role models. Then, so this is another point. Then positive role models. This is another point, such as officers like. So some officers I have quoted. For example, this is live examples are required. So Army Strong Palme helped build a humble citizen-centric outlook because he built long road in Northeast through a lot of public contributions basically. So this kind of, and I keep on telling, please prepare a list of those examples only which are non-controversial, which are really good, so that you can quote in different answers, maybe theoretical answers, maybe case studies, and score good marks. Then another is field experience in villages, offices, and disaster situations builds patience, resilience, and practical judgment. A transparent, accountable, and people friendly work culture reinforces these attitudes through daily practice. So, you see, our first paragraph, for some 4 5 points are there, and subsequent paragraphs same have been elaborated through examples wherever possible, through some references wherever possible. Thus, a suitable public service attitude grows through balance development of values, learning, exposure, and ethical work culture. This concludes basically what has been said in a very brief, simple one line, a very small sentence. Now, another question, a direct question I could found in 2020 exam. This question is, a positive attitude is considered to be an essential characteristics of a civil servant who is often required to function under extreme stress. So, what contributes to a positive attitude in a person? So, basically, the question is, what contributes to a positive attitude in a person? Now, we'll answer like that only. A positive attitude helps a civil servant to stay calm, confident, and solution oriented, even in stressful situations. It is shaped by values, experiences, and environment. Now, we will try to elaborate that. So, first is family upbringing teaches honesty. So, this is first point. Education and training develop emotional control and clarity of thought. Then inspiring people like Isridharan is, a good example. Encourages discipline and optimism, helping disaster victims and working with vulnerable groups gives a strong sense of purpose. A cooperative work environment, supportive seniors, and fair leadership strengthens positivity. Then good habits like meditation, exercise, and time management maintain emotional balance. Now, constitutional values such as justice and human dignity also provide moral strength during challenges. Thus, positive attitude develops through values, role models, experience, and self discipline, enabling ethical and effective performance under pressure. So, this is the way you can deal with the question. So, some examples, live examples, some ethical theories if relevant, some other references that you can. In some cases, Supreme Court cases are also become relevant. In some constitutional provisions also become relevant. So all those things you can quote, and all those things anyway you will prepare for other papers of general studies, even if you are not a political science or law student. So that also you can remember. Another direct question came in 2018. So this you can see, but this is little part of the question only, because what do you understand by a term public servant? So this first part is not an attitude question, if you see. So as I told, directly one topic questions are very rare. I mean, usually questions are covering 2 or 3 topics. So first part, what do you understand by the term public servant? Reflect on necessary attitude required in a public servant to ethically discharge their duties. So first you have to tell what is a public servant. So now question has 2 parts, as you can see. First you have to tell what do you understand by public servant, and then you have to tell what are the necessary attitude required in a public servant, basically. Now let us start the answer. A public servant is a person working for the government to promote the welfare of people. Now it can be defined in several ways, basically. But here a very simple and positive definition, because see, one more thing I can tell you, ethics is basically a practical kind of positive approach paper. So your every answer should reflect that. So here the same thing, a public servant is a person working for the government to promote the welfare of people. They act as trustees of public resources. This very important term, must uphold values like equality, fairness, and integrity. So if you see these 2 lines, basically uh, capture the whole ethos of a public servant. I mean, nothing is left actually if you see. However, you can say the same thing in different words in different places also, but this also you should remember. To work ethically, public servants need a citizen centric and responsible attitude. Empathy helps them understand the needs of the poor, women, children, and elderly. A strong attitude of integrity prevents corruption and protects public trust. Then, objectivity ensures decisions are fair and free from caste, gender, or religious bias. Then, a polite, patient, and service oriented behavior improves public confidence, transparency, accountability, and willingness to listen further strengthen ethical conduct. Officers like Ashok Khemka show how the right attitude leads to honest and effective governance. Thus, a public servant's ethical attitude is essential for maintaining trust and delivering just administration. So basically, this completes today's presentation or class, you can say. Next class, again, I will try to take up a few PYQs and the next topic. Once again, I request you, if you want me to take something else, some case studies, specific case studies, or some specific questions you are having, you can send me messages, you can write the comments in YouTube, and I will take it, I will take up from there, and definitely will try to discuss that. So thank you for participating in today's class. We'll meet again in next class.